welcome to Beyond the Lines. My name is Sarah, I'm the artist behind Pinselgeschichten, and in this third video I'm finishing up the page when it comes to Inktense. So the horses are pretty much done, but the guys do need details on top, so I'm going to do that next week. But I'm showing you a different way of working with Inktense in this particular video, especially when it comes to it being an underpainting instead of the final layer as it was in the videos before. So I hope you enjoy, and I'm gonna see you next week. So let's keep on coloring. I did already choose the colors for the final bits here because I saw I forgot a little of the reddish brown here. So I'm just going to add that, because all the horse must be colored. So, forgot this part here in the last video. But since I'm filming back to back, that's not a problem. And Mama's ears need to be colored as well. And then I chose a mahogany kind of a brown, this one here, for the mane of both of the horses. It's a very rich, dark, lovely brown, and I think it fits perfectly well with the reddish, almost terracotta kind of a color here. And after I have this down and the horse shaded, horses plural, I will move on with the Inktense pencils, because I wanted to show you how you could also work with Inktense in a different way, and that works way better with the pencils than it does with the blocks. I mean, if you have a large enough surface that you want to color or paint, with the blocks you could do it the same way as I'm going to show you with pencils, but I think it's way more intuitive with the pencils and way easier to control. Again, if you have a super large surface, of course you can do that with the blocks as well. I'm not going to shade the mane of the horses with the blocks, just the fur on the bodies. I'm going to use the pencils for anything else, because it's just a little more controllable, you know? So here we go. I think it's just a wonderful contrast that you get from this very rich, dark maroon color here with the terracotta orangey brown. And I'm all about contrast, you know? this point that I'm filming the third video in a row, I feel my hands are a little more difficult to control. That is also a reason why I'm switching over to the Inktense pencils, because it just makes it easier for me to work with. Okay, there we go. Now on to shading. I do want to take a little more of that reddish brown for the shadows to not be too dark, because I'm going to use the dark brown that I used on the mane as the shading color for the fur. I'm going to mix that with this orange brown here. Let's call it terracotta, shall we? So I'm just combining the two. I'm going to start shading, I think Mama Horse will be first. Her back up here, for example. Just adding a little bit of that darker mixture. Same goes for the leg back here. And a little bit back here behind the little horsey, just to set the two bodies apart. So I'm pretty much going around baby horse. And any detail work on the horses I can still add with the Inktense pencils in a minute. Well, in a minute later. Let's call it later, shall we? So she's just a tad darker. Now I can put my palette to the side and also the blocks. Just free some space in my on my palette, on my desk. Going to move all of my blocks to the side as well. They can sit here, and I do have a little more space to my left where I will work. So first off, what do I want to work on? The horse is a little wet still, so I'm just keeping it, giving it time to dry. And I'm going to work with, oh, I forgot something. I forgot the tail of the horse. So it should be this block here, and just take in a little bit. Of that color and coloring in the tail. Here we go. Now I need a new paper towel, and I will just go around bits and pieces of the page here and start coloring in. I want to start with the hooves, so I need a gray, no, let's start with the bucket down here. Let's go left to right. So I need a brown, a green. I will use the leaf green that I already used previously. 2110 for the metal parts of the buckets. A nice brown tone for the buckets themselves. And I think I want to use the 2010. It's a brownish black. And I want to use the 1730. That's the oak color. Gotta sharpen some of my pencils. They don't have to be super sharp, because I'm going to use water on top of the Derwent pencils, but I'm pretty much just going to color in my objects now. It doesn't matter if there's tiny little white speckles still on the paper. Once I move the pigment, they will fill in. Just want to get the main pigment around, and I did change things up from blocks to pencils for one to be able to control a little more where my pigment goes on these smaller items, but also just to show you, okay, this is how you can do it. So for one, I'm leaving a little bit of white space here, as you can see. And now that I move on to my brush, I soon need new clean water, by the way. I can just go over things and liquefy the pigment. Pull the darker bits into the lighter color. And it's just way more controllable. And since I had said just a minute ago that I feel my hand is less cooperative the more I work, because visibility, I can get around that fairly easily. Otherwise I would have to stop filming or coloring now, and I would have to come back another day, but I don't want to, so this is a nice little trick. That enables me to, well, paint a little longer. Into the green bits here. And then onto the grey metal part. And to have somewhat of a highlight, I kept some parts uncolored with the metal. And I'm just pulling the pigment into that section. Now I can go on to the next bucket. That's back here. Going on with my light brown first, so the oak brown. Going on top with, what's it called? Sepia ink. And you see I'm already going over the wood grain here. And adding my gray color for the metal pieces. And this way I can just control where I want what color to go way more. As I had stated, you can definitely do that with the blocks as well, but you need to have maybe a bigger surface there that you're working on, bigger objects, not these tiny ones that I'm going to color right now. Need a little bit of a lighter color because this looks like water to me. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my oak pencil, so the one that I use for the wood, and just go around it. Oh, and I just realized I forgot to color the hay in here. So I'm going to choose that color and just fill it in. So water in a bucket is not blue, it's water is clear, as you know, and it will take the color of the surroundings, so it will be this oak color here, but I can pull the pigment and make it look lighter. I'm working with the wood grain again, already putting my lines in. You can see I didn't color with my oak pencil all the way to the bottom, and that is because I want a few of lighter sections, because again the light comes from the lower left hand side, as I had stated in the previous videos. And with my Payne's gray, I'm also coloring more towards the top. Then I'm going to pull pigment. I'm going to start this part here, cleaning up my brush. And there's a little water sitting on top here, so I'm just going to pull that down very lightly. Into what is going to be the water. And then I can already move on to the next bit. I will probably come back to this section and add the wood grain details, but I just wanted to have a little bit of shading already. Onto the metal of the bucket. So you can see quite an interesting color flow here on the metal. There's a little bit of brown and a little bit of gray, and I will add to that later on, but first I want to have my tan pencil for the rope here. And I'm just coloring one part of the rope, so in this case the left hand side. Because I want a little bit of a light and dark, so I can again go in and pull the pigment towards the right hand side. Well, now it being upside down to my left hand side. But when this page is right side up, it's actually gonna be the right hand side. And that makes for a very natural, easy kind of a shadow already. Going back in with my Payne's Gray. I'm doing the same thing for this ring here. Just going for the right hand side. And just parts of the plate behind it. I'm going to start with that. Excuse me. Then what do I want to do next? Is the horse dry? Not yet. So I'm just gonna start with the hooves of the horses, and I need almost like a beige color. And I think I want the 2400. This is more of a warmer gray. 2400. It's an outliner pencil actually. So I'm just going to color. Oh, I just saw I forgot something. One of the legs here, so I'm going to use that reddish brown pencil this time. Going on the top of the hooves for the outline with the outliner, and then going in again with my pencil, with my brush. So first of all, let's go for baked earth and fill in that one leg, and then moving on to the black pencil. It has a little less movable ink, but that's fine with me. Can still move it a bit. Just way less than the other colors, but you can move it enough so that I'm okay with that. And once that is dry, I will add the outliner to these lines here on the hooves as well. Now, skin tone. You don't really have a skin tone in Inktense, but I always use the 220 to color in skin, and that is called Sicilian Yellow. So I'm just going to color always parts of the skin. And then I'm going to pull the pigment as per usual. I find that works well enough for me. Looks weird, I know, but see what you can do with it. You start on the pigmented part of the paper, go to the non-colored one and come back to another colored part. And that makes for a rather nice substitute of the skin tone. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for me. You could always just color that particular part of your coloring page with, say, color pencils or watercolor. That works too. But I'm okay with using a little more of a yellowish tone, because I think they have been out in the sun way more than we are today, like in modern times. So of course they are maybe having a little bit of a weathered skin. Maybe I will go on top with color pencils to just pinken up things a tiny bit. So now I need the green, because I think Hamish has a green eye. And he's got probably a blondish hair, so I can use the amber and mustard pencils again. So I'm using mustard first, which are the lighter tones. And then going in with the amber, filling in the blanks where there's a little more of a darker shade, like right here on top of the head, and also on some of those curly bits here. And where there's shadow, where he faces away from the light source. Going in with my brush again. Going with my lighter color first, and then pulling in the amber, which is a darker shade. For his shirt, what do I want to use? Actually I want to use a bit of a bluish tone, so I'm liking either the 1100, but I think I want to use that for the vest. That's deep indigo. And also the 840, which should be maybe... Nope, it's iron blue. And I'm going to start with the iron and coloring that in from where the light hits. And that was my curious roommate who just came here to take a peek in what I'm coloring. Or how far I am, because he's already seen what I'm coloring. So I'm moving on to the deep indigo. Filling in the rest of the vest, like here underneath the arms and where he's facing away from the light source. And of course, a little more action for my brush. Sorry for my phone buzzing all the time, but I'm not gonna look at it now. People can wait until I'm done filming. So I'm just going over it. The point that I'm at, I'm thinking, oh, I definitely will go on top with colored pencils afterwards, just to add some tiny details. But that might change throughout the video. I haven't decided yet, but it's a, let's say, very valid possibility. Okay, now I can go back to the outliner, because I think my hoofs are dry, at least they feel like it. There it is. So I'm just going to add a little bit of detail here. There we are. Excuse me. I think I want a bit of a grayish tone for his shirt, because I don't want this to be too warm with the with all the colors being in rather the warm part of the spectrum. So I'm taking where's my other pencil? There's the gray. Yeah, no, that's a cool gray. Oh yeah, I'm taking the cool gray because all the other tones are a little warmer. So I'm taking my Payne's gray. And I'm just going over the line work. And I will spread that pigment out in a minute. So this is almost a white-ish shirt, not so much a cream linen shirt, but a little cooler in tint, which is a wonderful contrast to all the warm colors that I used so far. Because you want to have a good mixture of warm and cold colors. He's also wearing gray pants. whatever Bestie's doing in his room. Sorry about the audio. He's probably having the same problems that I'm having once in a while, being unable to control things, and bumping into stuff. He's really noisy right now. I hope I can edit this out in post-production, or at least reducing the background noise. If not, I'm really sorry, but I don't have a studio on my own floor anymore. So there is part 1 of the shirt. It's part 2. The grey did bleed a bit onto the arm, but that doesn't matter because I think he's maybe kind of dirty from doing all that work in the stables. Sometimes you just gotta roll with it, you know, guys. Okay. Okay, there we've got him. Oh, I forgot to liquefy the pigment on his eye. So there we are. And now for the brush. I want to have a bit of a cooler brown. So let's start with the hair. So where's my mustard pencil? Am I blind? Obviously I am. Hold on. I really am blind. This is amber. But I want mustard. That's tan. Your Sicilian yellow. Ah, there it is. It looked way more brownish than it actually is. So I'm coloring in these bits up here, and I did take saddle brown for the brush. Starting with the bristles of the brush, because they're just in a lighter color. And then I can move forward and color the rest of this wooden brush. I will definitely go over things with colored pencils. I think I want some things to be moved even further into the foreground. So I'm taking, excuse me, I'm taking dark chocolate for that leather bit here. And also the eyes of the horses. And I will add gel pen to these metal rings there on the horse. But where's my sepia? Sepia, because I want to color in the nostrils of both horses. It takes forever to find some of the pencils. It's ridiculous because they pretty much all look the same. There it is. So a little bit of sepia here, and here, and here, and here. And I want a dark brown, but not the dark chocolate, but this one here is called madder brown. And I want to use that. I want to use that to shade my horses a little more. Sorry. Give them a little bit of, oh gosh. Sorry again. Give them just a little more detail, especially here on the face. Just going over the artist's line work that has already been given to me. Back to my brush and just going over the bits that I just colored. I don't want to pull the pigment too much, I just want this to be rather the next layer on top of that printed ink line. Adding just a tiny little more interest on the page. There we go. I need my amber pencil for this horse's mane to get a little bit of an extra. I'm doing the same thing as I just did with the other horses, just going on top of the line work that has been given to me. And adding a tiny little bit of pigment. Remember, it's the same color that I used for the base color of this horse's mane, but by just adding a little more and have it a little more, well, local, you could actually add quite a bit of interest there. See, just a tiny little bit of pencil and you're good to go. So I just gotta finish up Jamie, and then I would actually stop the video and let this dry, and then come back next week with the final little details. Probably. Yeah, I think I want maybe added a little bit to both of the guys' shirts and such. So I will probably come back with another video. I think there's enough to color or add to justify another video. Starting with his face. I think I want to just add a little colored pencil on top, especially on the skin of the guys, because it's a little too yellowish for my taste. So Jamie has flaming red hair, so I actually want to go with the 250 maybe? No, it's 250. Cadmium orange. Use that on the hair and add a tiny bit of that baked earth here underneath his head, where there's maybe like a bit of a shadow. There we go. Now I have to think. I definitely want Payne's Grey, if I can find it. Yeah, got it. For his stockings. I want the sepia black, sepia. Where are you? Sepia ink for the shoes. Could actually start liquefying that and think meanwhile what colors I would like to have for his shirt and pants and hat. Ooh, that's a little too much water. I think I want him to have sepia pants, maybe? Yeah, I think I want sepia ink pants. I gotta find my... There it is, my pencil again. You see, I always leave a little white space here because I think I can actually pull the pigment enough for it to move to the uncolored spots, and it makes for a natural light and dark part. Because again, the light comes from the lower left hand side, so it will hit his pants a little more there. Hence the color will be lighter. Just like so. For the shirt, what do I want for the shirt? I would actually like a beige, like a real beige tone, but I don't have any. So I'm gonna go with the neutral gray. For his shirt, it's a different gray than I used for Hamish here. And I'm going to use the same neutral gray on his hat. And I'm gonna mix it with indigo If I can find my pencil. There it is. There we go. And now I only need the chair, and I want to have a little bit of a lighter shade there. So I'm going with the tan pencil. And for the boys and some of the horse details and such, I will go over things with colored pencils. So this the guys pretty much just have an underpainting at this point. The horses do not, so that's pretty much the difference there. But that's only gonna pop up in the next video, and that will be the too much water. That will be the final video for this page then. So I will come back with colored pencils and with gel pens and such. There we go. That's that. That's my piece for today. I hope you enjoyed watching along. If you have questions or comments, as per usual, please leave them in the comment section below. I will see you next week for the final installment of this particular page. If you liked this video and want to see more, please hit the subscribe button and the bell button next to it so that you're notified whenever I release a new video. And excuse me. And what did I want to say? I forgot. Anyways, the blog post will be up an hour after this one is released. After this video is released, and excuse me. And I will see you next week on this channel. Take good care, have fun, bye!